What's up, guys? Welcome back to Dubai Real. It's been a couple of weeks since the last podcast. It's been a very busy time for me and Rob. He started off with he launched his app for training, and I've had a lot of players back in Dubai now that the COVID restrictions are a bit better and stuff. So so now we have a lot of people coming to Dubai, especially that it's getting a bit crazy in Europe and in the States. So speaking of which, we have someone very special with us.
Hello.
So we have Heba Ali with us today. Thanks for coming, Heba.
No problem. So I've trained with Nick twice now, so I'm excited to dig a little deeper beneath what I do and mindset and everything revolving training and health. I've enjoyed our training sessions together, especially because he does focus on like the speed, agility, and explosive specific workouts that I used to do when I was competing in track. So I'm excited for this mini talk and sharing ideas.
Yeah, so speaking of which, so your background is a bit different, I think, from most fitness people that you see on Instagram, right? You're more of a performance, well, you do a bit of everything, right?
Yeah, I would say performance though.
Yeah.
Out of everything, I would say performance because I eat to perform. I don't train for aesthetics. It's always been performance based. So
Yeah. So what sports did you do growing up? Was mostly track or?
it was mostly track. Like I did play soccer, football, but that was like in my way younger ages. Like I can't really say that, otherwise people get the impression that I'm good at it, and I didn't carry it out that long. So I would say like track was that sport that I spent the most time in and really like progressed with.
Nice.
And cross country.
Cross country, yeah.
I know.
So tell us a little bit about where you come from, what it was like growing up. It was in the States, right?
Yeah, so I was born in Jordan and I was raised in New Jersey, and I grew up with single mom, 5 siblings. I always say 6, it's fine. 5 siblings, one of which is my twin sister. Growing up in the Middle Eastern culture, it wasn't really normal to, it wasn't like encouraged to go do sports or after school activities. So I kind of rebelled with that, and I just wanted to get like really strong. I don't know if this stems from like getting bullied or just like my embedded personality traits and just wanting, because I feel like I was born different. Like I definitely had more leadership skills from a young age. I was definitely a risk taker. I didn't like authority. Like I always wanted to test the water. So definitely I was born with that type of edge. So I went to sports really late, like track junior year, like really late, and I wasn't good. I chose the sport because I was like the worst runner. I think my family was just genetically not gifted with running, because me and my sisters decided to do it one shot. Me, my older sister, and my twin sister, they quit like right away. The shin splints got them out of the game. So I stayed in. I think that what I really learned to appreciate from track wasn't the fact that I was able to be like the top runner in 2 seasons. It was the fact that I was able to discover how strong my mind was and getting me to do that, because it was just like we talked about this, like endless sessions of like after practice, there's after hours, and it was like we wanted to keep pushing it, and even taking up NASM to study more about sports and physio, and I wasn't even old enough to be a trainer, but it was just like taking that extra effort to learn more. So after that, instead of taking up the scholarship in college, I opened up my company Evolve Nation, which at the time focused primarily on fitness and physical health. And I did that because when I was looking for help, I couldn't find it online, especially Instagram. Like from woman to woman, there was no legit sports education. And then as I continued through my college career, I loved psychology. I kept studying it, and till this day I just implement it in what Evolve Nation does, from my online memberships to events, seminars across the world, Middle East, Asia, everywhere. So that's a little bit about me.
Nice. Do you track is a good one, I find, for to really kind of like find yourself, right? Like to work on your mindset, because we talked about this also before. Like I used to run track also, and I used to play soccer also, football, when I was younger, and then I got to that age where I had to choose, and I decided to go for track, kind of like you did, because the harder you work, the more you can see the results. Whereas when you play football, I remember I was training super hard, and the rest of the guys were not necessarily as serious, and you wouldn't see the scoreboard, you know, you wouldn't see the wins and stuff, but I would see the times go down in track. So I feel like, you know, running track also really kind of guides you. It teaches you so many lessons for, you know, how to work hard. You have to, no one else is going to do it for you.
Yeah, because the time doesn't lie. And that's something I actually like loved and hated. Like when I did play football, I hated that. Like I could work really hard, but if my team didn't sleep well enough, they didn't rest, or they didn't feel like working hard that day, like that could impact the win or not. It wasn't necessarily about the win, but like you're there to compete. And so like with track, like even if I didn't, like listen, I came in last place for like a whole season. Like, it was brutally embarrassing, but what I did notice was my time dropping, and I always kept that faith that like, you know, I'm gonna be really good, and I'm late in the game. Like I'm the underdog, but like I'm gonna make it. And so that's why track is good. I think like there's no excuses. Like again, time doesn't lie. It's like,
did you get injuries and stuff when you were on track?
Oh, a lot, because I obviously overtrained. I didn't appreciate rehab as much as I do now. Like I love rehab.
Recovery and
and
small things.
I think that it could have been a lot worse. Like I didn't tear anything. Like I wore down my knees big time, especially on the turns. Like my lateral meniscus was, like I had tendonitis. Like I shouldn't have had that at a young age.
Was it because you were lifting a lot also, right?
Yeah, plantar fasciitis, like severe.
Oh, yeah.
Severe. Till this day, my left hip flexor is like internally rotated. So like I can't stretch this glute just by doing a crossover. But I mean, ultimately, like I'm fine. Like I've done all the work to like recoup my body,
You're still pretty fast.
Revive it.
I'm still pretty fast.
Pretty fast.
And nice. And what, you know, what brought you to study psychology? Is that something you've always wanted to do, or you guys curious? You know, from.
It was definitely stemmed from my sports. Because like again, like I discovered through like my success, I guess, that like it wasn't just the physical training, right, which I kind of made up because I didn't listen to the coaches. I took what they gave me, but I also kept looking for more. But I noticed, I think I was born like within heightened awareness, and I noticed I was very different. And this isn't just like a simple cookie cutter answer. There's many reasons why I went to psychology, from like my sports to my personal life, having my own struggles and feeling like nobody can really help me with it, and wanting to take the responsibility to work on it myself. So all of those factors went into why I wanted to study psychology, like both to benefit my own mental health and help other people as well.
Very cool. And now you're basically, well, you've got your businesses, you did all these things at the same time, you know, that you know. So what's the next step for what's the big goal? Is to get Evolve Nation as big as it can.
Take over the world.
Take over the world. I always say that too. Like,
no, really, because it sounds cheesy, but like I've achieved things in my life that like I just did not think were ever possible, and I've already proved my own like bracket of capabilities, which isn't even my limit. Like, you know, I was juggling 2 jobs, going full-time college. You know how it is with PT. We get up for our 5 a.m. clients.
Oh, you're working as a PT at the same time too?
Oh, I did all of this, and I waitressed, and I did full-time college credits, and
training at the same time, obviously.
And myself 2 times a day. Like I had my full 24 hours maximized for at least 3 years, where I didn't even see my own family, and we lived in the same house. So like those experiences, that hustle, that young youthful hustle, like I don't forget that stuff. And so when people are impressed by what they see, like I know that Heba, and I know that like that's also not the evolved Heba. So I'm like really capable of far more. So I can't tell you exactly what's next until he's gonna be big. I'm gonna definitely continue to reach as many lives as I can and improve my resources, I'm gonna continue to improve my resources and what my team and I use, continue to advance it so we can help people, because technology is going to keep changing. I'm just trying to keep up. And I'm like part of the youth, what is that generation? X generation?
Okay.
But I feel like I can't keep up, but I have
but there's
to.
young guys, young people coming up also, and they were born with this, right? It's very interesting. You know, it's one of the first things that that I noticed when I first met you is it reminded me of, because I lived in New York for a couple of years also, and there's a certain thing, I don't know, I mean everywhere a bit, but in New York you really feel like people are hustling, like there's that, everybody's working hard, everybody wants to make something, a bit like in Dubai, but like it's normal. I remember like you said, like people working 2 jobs and training and doing all these, like it's completely normal,
Yeah.
So were you like surrounded by people also working like that, or like?
I would say, like, I don't know the exact answer to that, because like what I could tell you today, I don't even trust my own answers.
Do you
because
feel
I'm
like
going
you need
based
to prove
off
people
of
something?
I think everyone at a young age needs to prove something. This is just part of psychology and your id and your ego. Everybody wants to prove themselves to others in order to prove themselves to themselves, and that depends on your emotional maturity. At what point in your life do you stop doing things for other people? But at a young age, most of us do that. We want to impress our friends, and so for me, I think that observation of hustle definitely came from my mom. Like she worked 4 jobs for raise 6 kids. Like she's a superwoman. Until this day, I'm like, I don't know how you did that. And they weren't fun jobs. They definitely weren't fun jobs. So I think that was the biggest influence. My 2 older brothers were very close to me, like father figures. We're all 1 year apart, so it's 6 kids, but my mom had us all back to back. They also started working at 13, 14, 15. I don't remember exactly. I think it was 13. So watching them from a young age work, like I kind of mirrored everything they did. But again, I do think that each person's born a little differently. I did have a lot of times in my life where I could have focused on all the things I didn't have, and I could have let the pain take me in a different direction, which would not have led me to where I am. So again, like everyone's circumstance is very unique to their perception, their level of perception. Like, are you going to let this gear you to the wrong way and use validation and all the things you don't have to allow you to not succeed in life? Or are you going to like look at the bad and make good out of it? And that's kind of what I did. It's like I used the fact that I didn't have a father to be more of a father figure and more of a leader. So I think that's a very important message, is to always look at your situation and paint a better picture for yourself, like, and always believe that. Believe that vision, because it really is possible. And I think the person that really does get in the way of that is people, and they don't want to hear this. They really don't want to hear this. And these are conversations I've had with myself. It's like all those thoughts run through your head, even if it's said to you. Another person's words aren't yours to carry. It's just a thought that you can like listen and let go of, but many people let that resonate way too deep and affect their belief system. So
how do you think, what's a good way to work on this? Like, I saw you were reading, even on your stories when you were here in Dubai and stuff. Do you read a lot on that type of stuff, like I don't know, business books or mindset books, or do you meditate, that kind of stuff?
I think if you want to develop your mindset or self-development, of course reading is important, continuing to educate yourself, because your knowledge is and what you know is obviously shaped by your knowledge. So for example, like when I would travel, I would find a lot of things offensive, versus when I started to study about those cultures, no longer found them offensive. So the difference there was just the level of knowledge.
Exactly.
So of course continue to educate yourselves, but I love this quote by Tony Robbins. It's like, knowledge isn't power, it's potential power. So you could read as many books as you want. If you're not applying anything to a day-to-day, then don't expect much change to occur. But one of the biggest areas that a person should focus on if they're really looking for that self-development and mental strength and advancement is introspection. And it's like, you don't need to really read to know how to do this. You just have to be patient, and you have to take the time to learn about yourself and to trace back to your childhood and kind of like align the puzzle. And that has to do with your belief system. If you can really know what your belief system is, or as close as possible, then you can understand your behaviors, you can understand your triggers, your fears, and your strengths, and you can like really maneuver all of them so that you thrive, because it's all about your belief system.
Exactly.
And if you believe you suck at something, why do I think that? Was it my personal judgment, or was it a traumatic experience? Like, these are things that they actually walk you through in psychology. It's the ABC model.
It's really, in psychology, actually, I hadn't thought about that before, but I think it's a really cool degree to have, a really good degree to have nowadays, especially because, with social media and, people growing up and having access to all this information, and it's everybody's talking about bullies and online bullies and stuff. Like it's more and more difficult to grow up and be in touch with who you actually want to be, or who what are your values and your beliefs. Everybody's telling you what to do, and you see people on social media, they're like, well, he's doing this, or he's saying to do this, and he's like, everybody loves it.
Yeah.
But like, that's not you,
Yeah. There's a bunch of different forms of conformity, and that's like a whole nother talk to have. And it's so interesting that like we all do it on a day-to-day. No matter how resilient you are, you conform at some level or degree. And when you talk about it, it kind of like wakes up a person. They're like, oh shoot, I do that, and like they just stay silent. And it's like not something to be ashamed of. And it's like, stop being ashamed of
what you want to do, or who you want to be,
or like things that you mess up on, because like it's part of human nature to mess up. And if people normalize this process of not being perfect, then perhaps they would be more encouraged by a challenge, or empowered to face the fear. But they're not, because they're always so paralyzed by messing up. Where I'm, on the other hand, it's like I want to mess up, and I want to know how to do it better. I want to fail better.
Yeah, because when you mess up, that's when you learn the most, right? So what would you say, to make it as you're basically an entrepreneur, right? Like fitness entrepreneur, all kinds of entrepreneur. What would be 3 tips that you would give, people that are listening or watching, to make it as an entrepreneur, basically?
As an entrepreneur, my 3 tips of advice. Number 1, do something that you genuinely want to do, for no external applaud, validation. You just genuinely want to do this because you felt like you were born to do this. If you haven't found this yet, then I say experiment with as much as you can. And when you do find it, you will feel it. You'll feel that it's right. And I've gone through 4 different career changes, from radiology to athletic development to bio, and a little bit of quantum physics. And when I touched psychology, it was game over. And so trust yourself. If there's something that you want to do, know that you're definitely going to get there. I've dealt with not having this family support, a lot of doubters, all of that stuff. I even doubted myself. So step number 2, believe in yourself. So number 1, pick something you're super passionate about. Life is way too short to work a 9 to 5 that you don't enjoy. Number 2, believe in yourself. And number 3, always expose yourself to the unknown. Even if you think you know it all, you love what you do, still look for that unknown. Expose yourself to different things, because the best part in life is when you can constantly experience, learn, and evolve. And by evolve, I mean everything that you grow with, you're also helping the world with. My mission on Earth is far more than just me. It's not just about Heba being as fast and powerful and smart. It's about Heba using her resources to help the world. So improve your craft and improve the world.
That's great. Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
And we'll see you soon.
See you next time I'm in Dubai.
There's a